Hello, welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy, and I'm very excited to share these American Civil War figures by Marx with you. Now, I got a lot of things that I need to unpack here, so let's just jump right in and get started. Now, first up on this shelf here is Reproduction Union Forces by Louis Marx Company. And the figures were first introduced in 1958 as part of their blue and gray playset. And then, of course, you're familiar with what they call the Centennial group, which was like a series two, which I have examples of up here. Now, what I'm showing you here are reproduction models. However, these figures here on the corner here are all original, but it's all that I've got left of my blue and gray playset that I got for Christmas in 1961. I was told I had to share it with my brother, and my brother, being 5 years older, quickly dominated the play time with the set. He always made me be the Confederates, and he wanted to be the Union. And I never got to be the Union. I was always the Confederates. Anyway, let's go back to this. These are distributed by Classic Toy Soldiers. You've heard of that me talk about them a few times before, and it comes in a window box set, and it's about this many figures, which you see here. It does not come with any cavalry figures like you see over here, or the caisson rider or wagon driver. None of those figures came with this, just Series 1. And here's Series 1 figures in what I call a medium blue, these being what is sometimes referred to as Marx blue or powder blue, sky blue, baby blue, light blue. It sounds like I just blew it. Um, these would be considered medium blue, and I differentiate between the colors because there's even some that are darker than this. They're like a royal blue, and there's also some that are made in reproduction form as a very dark federal blue. And I have a whole bunch of reproduction Marx Civil War figures in the very dark blue that was distributed by Stone Castle Imports back in the 1980s. Now, I tried looking up Stone Castle Imports. I couldn't find out any information about them, so I don't know if they're still selling these figures any longer. But I remember I got them in a baggie that was quite large, and there was quite a number of figures. And it wasn't very expensive either. It was a pretty good deal. These being in the medium blue, they're similar to the powder blue in that the plastic has a shiny patina to them, as you see here. And what I will do before I move on to the others is to give you a panoramic sweep of the figures. And I'll try not to go too fast or talk too much. As you are well aware, Iggy likes to flap his jawbone. Let's go up here. For some reason, that's my least favorite figure, is that running pose. And this guy here, the prone figures, firing your rifle in a prone position if it's a muzzle loader is really not very practical. It is possible to reload in a prone position, but it's very difficult. And in a combat situation, you'd probably get your arm or hand shot off. I think I did it once in a prone position. It's much easier to load standing up because gravity assists you in driving home the cartridge. Okay. Now let's go over here because these figures that you see here on the corner here, they look kind of dirty, don't they? Those are originals. And I used to have quite a number of them because my brother and I got the giant blue and gray playset. So there was quite a number of figures. But for some reason in 1986, I threw away a great many of them because they had been painted. And my brother, he didn't know a lot about paints that he does now, for God's sake. Oh my goodness. He could match any color by mixing paints. He's really quite good at it. But he painted the figures in a glossy paint. Now, I could have perhaps sprayed them with a flat lacquer. And hold on, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. You got allergies. I feed stray cats, and they every once in a while they sneak into the house and they get on my bed, and I get late at night. I start sneezing. But you can see these are quite dirty. These got played with quite a bit back in the day. Now up here in the front, I believe these riders are reproduction and the horses. Now you'll notice that the figures never quite sit on the horses properly, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now, okay? I thought you guys might be interested in this. Now it's not doing it. Let's see if I can get this one to do it. Oh my gosh, when I first did this, I picked up a horseman and he fell right off. There you go. That's what I was trying to get to. Now, I discovered that they, of course, don't fit on here very well, although for my demonstration, they seem to be reluctant to fall off. But I want to show you something that I thought was kind of cool. What I'm going to show you is a horse made by a classic toy soldier in 1995. And it's got an excellent base. It's heavy, it's thick, so you don't have to worry about the legs warping because a lot of times these horses are hard to stand up. Now, these particular ones are doing quite well, so the legs haven't warped on them. And the figures seem to be sitting okay, but the only thing that's holding them on the horse is their legs are pinching the flanks of the horse. There you can see that their buttocks is not seated in the saddle properly. But I didn't say but because I said their buttocks. I'm saying but because I have an exception. If you put this onto the classic toy soldier horse, it fits perfectly. They must have designed that with that in mind. And he stays on there. Look at that. And it's a very attractive horse. It came in several poses. You see there that his leg has been warped by being in storage, but still it does not affect the ability to stand this horse up. So I'm thinking I would like to buy more of these and replace the Marx horses, because I really like the way these fit on there. They fit very snugly on the saddle. So that might be something you would like to consider, is getting some of these classic toy soldier um, horses, which were copyrighted, I believe, in 1995 and made in China. Yes, CTS. Okay. Now, this next one is not something from the blue and gray playset, even though it goes very well with that. This is the Falling Horse and Rider, and it's a very exciting pose, very ambitious pose when you think about it. Let me turn it this way. The horse's head, of course, is hit first and is turned to the side, and the rider is about ready to flip over the head over heels over the front of the horse there. That's a great pose. This was introduced to the Fort Apache playset as an exclusive, I think, for Montgomery Ward's, although I think at one time Sears playsets also had this. But I think the deal they would make is that maybe for the first year only Montgomery Ward would get it, or the first 6 months, or whatever it might be, and then others like J.C. Penney and Montgomery Ward, Sears, they would all get them eventually. But this is a Fort Apache figure. Now, I saw in this book, I went through it page by page looking for the Falling Horse and Rider, and did find it, but it was a photograph of a set that was created for a restaurant, oddly enough. I'm not sure why a restaurant, unless the restaurant was in Gettysburg or something. That'd be kind of fun to know. Oh, by the way, I'm going to show you some of this book, because this book is excellent. It's really well illustrated. I have their book about Fort Apache, this one, and Battleground playset. And these books are very comprehensive and well illustrated. I was given this book by my brother in 2021, and I've almost forgotten about it, because when I got the book, I had COVID and I had pneumonia. And then I ended up in the hospital, so it was not a fun time. And I hardly have any memory of that Christmas. But you can see that the patina between these figures and these original figures is quite different. They almost look gray, but they're actually a powder blue, but they are dirty. I think you can see that. There's still dirt on them. Now, these figures up here, I think these are also originals over here on the corner. So, I mean, I got a few, but not as many as I would like to have preserved. Now, these figures, oh, you know what? Now I think I understand. I painted these. These are reproductions that I painted, because the paint is chipping off. They're a medium blue like these, and I painted them with a spray can of light blue. But it looks like on some of them, because when I found these, yeah, see that? You can see that I didn't notice that before. The paint is starting to chip off. But when I first found these in the tub, see, there's another one, paint's chipped off. I thought, gee, I don't remember these. Are these original? But this is a Centennial set that, for a guy, I guess I'm a hypocrite, because I told you I didn't like the painted plastic. And look what I did. I painted these with a spray can and then sprayed it with a flat lacquer, or a medium lacquer. I'm not sure which one I used. It's been a while. In fact, it's been so long I didn't remember that I did that. I think the results, though, if they hadn't been in storage, I think the results would be pretty good. Because they are closer to the original color. Now, these are dingy, of course, but these are closer to the original color. And speaking of damages in storage, I can't seem to get away from that. And I have a group of them here. Here's an original figure, and he broke right off the stand. I might be able to super glue him back on there and therefore save him from the casualty list. This one lost the top of his flag, and luckily I still have the part. And I'm not sure where this little bucket came from, but I think it hangs on the bottom of a, it might be from a tempo cannon or Dulcop, which is a copy of a tempo cannon. And this entire musket came off, but I still have that too, and I think I should be able to super glue this back on and thereby saving him. And then there's this, where did I put it? Not sure what this is from. And there's an arm here, but I'm not sure where this comes from. Is it an original figure that lost his arm? Anyway, there was a lot of amputations during the war, so I guess it makes sense that maybe I could put that next to a medical tent or something. Okay, guys, let's recap this real quick. You can get reproduction Marx Civil War Soldiers from Classic Toy Soldiers. By the way, they fixed something that is long bothered kids and collectors alike for decades. When they reproduced the Confederates, they fixed the rifleman. You remember how the Confederate rifleman, his rifle was pointing down like this instead of like this? For instance, let's take a look at a rifleman in this group. Here we go. We got one right here up in the front. And you can see this guy, he's a pretty cool looking pose. And he's pointing his rifle. You know what? I never fired my musket like this. And the reason why is I had some caps that were bad and they blew up, and pieces of brass cut my cheek several times, and I started to get nervous that I was going to get a piece in my eye. So I stopped firing like that. I would just, lower it down and then fire. Anyway, the Confederate has been fixed to look more like this guy. Of course, these are reproduction, and you can get, it might be hard to find the real dark blue ones now by Stone Castle Imports. Like I said, I looked them up and couldn't tell if they were still in business or not. And then these I painted. They were also in I guess a royal blue. Can you tell? It's a royal, somewhat of a royal blue. And then we have the original mark. I wonder if these are marked. No marking, but these I know for a fact are original because they're mine. And then I talked about how the Marx riders do not sit very well. As you can see, there's a gap between his buttocks. And, it looks like I painted these too. I don't remember doing that, but I like the result. It looks pretty cool. These were originally royal blue, and I much prefer the powder blue. And then I talked to you about perhaps you guys may want to switch out the horse because this figure fits perfectly on this. To demonstrate that, you could actually lift it like this, and this is a heavy horse and it doesn't come off. If you tried that with this, it fell off immediately. Let me see this one. This one seems to be hugging his saddle, but you can see that it's not on there properly. Okay, guys. Also, another problem with Marx horses is the stirrups break off. This one here still has his stirrups, but I noticed that some of them don't. Okay, that's all I got for you for Louis Marx Civil War. You know what? I wanted to show you this book, but we're starting to get into time problems here. We do have time constraints. I try not to assault your patience for too long. There's a photograph in here that I wanted to share with you because I thought it was really good. Here it is. This, I think, is an excellent photograph. It's in an ambulance wagon, and it's got this wonderful background. Now, I'm thinking that maybe what they did was they blew up a photograph and put it in the back and then photographed this, or this was put on a table in front of trees like that and then photographed. But I think it's a wonderful photograph. And the book is filled with things like that. And it talks quite a bit about every aspect of the playset, what kind of accessories. I've got like 3 or 4 of these emplacements or readouts, and the plastic got really brittle and broke on a couple of them. Here's some original figures. So I recommend this book. There's Louis Marx, by the way. I remember the dead horse, but I was looking for the falling horse and rider, and I just didn't see it. And then I remembered that it's part of the Fort Apache. I have 3 of the Burnside bridges. The tent set that I had originally in my set was gray, and then they later changed it to tan. Also, fences were gray, and then they changed them later to a brown color. I'll be showing you a video of accessories, all of which are reproduction, but I think you'll find them interesting to see. I love it when they would put them on a board and then display them in the toy store. I used to like that. Or the toy department. I never had this set with the Lincoln and Grant and Lee. I think they produced a Jefferson Davis figure too. But this set, you can see, doesn't show that. But isn't that wonderful? Wouldn't you love to have this in your man cave? I want to show that to you again because this is a really fun. This is what they came out with in 1959 and 1960. And you see here it has the gray tent. And it's funny that I should remember that it was gray. I have one of these mansions. I think I showed it to you already in one of my videos from long time ago. It's hard to believe, but I think I have like almost 190 videos. So if you can, and if you have the wherewithal and the desire, and you are a particular fan of the blue and gray playset, I would recommend this book. Simply, even if you don't, I haven't had a chance to read it, but I think you'll really like it. And oh, you know what, guys? I know this is getting a little lengthy. This is probably one of my longest videos ever, but this Johnny Reb cannon, I remember the kids down the street wanted to be Confederates, and they had Johnny Reb cannons. And my brother and his friends and me and my friends attacked them, and we were, of course, the Union. And I was running towards them, and they fired the Johnny Reb cannon, and I actually caught the cannonball. And then I realized, you know what? I probably should be dead. So I fell on the ground a little belatedly, though. I think in real life, if you caught a cannonball, you probably would be a mess. My brother had one of these sets, but it was Union. It wasn't Confederate, it was USA. I remember at Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm, they would sell these muskets. They would fire a cap. And my brother and I had these hats. I think we got them at Disneyland. Here's an early picture of reenactors from 1961. In those days, there was not a lot of people manufacturing gear for them, so they would use original equipment. These are reverse blue Confederates. All right, well, I don't want to get this to be too lengthy, but I'm finding myself really interested in all this. I wonder what figure that is. That's pretty cool. Is that ideal? You know, this wonderful stuff that you just don't see anymore. There's the mansion. I've actually seen houses that look like that. I think I was in uh, Georgia when I saw that. Or maybe it was South Carolina. This is what I hope to do with my collection, guys, is to set up a river and be able to pose everything like that. I think that would be fun. Here's the Burnside Bridge. I got to walk across that. Did I walk across that? I remember standing over here on the bank. I'm trying to remember if I walked across or not. Anyway, you might want to check out this book if you've got this stuff. I think in a future video, what I'm going to do is show you the Confederates. And I have Centennial Confederates and also the Series 1 Confederates to share with you. And I'm sorry that I was a little bit deceptive with the color on these, but I forgot that I painted them and didn't realize that I did that until I saw his rifle was a royal blue on the tip. And then I'm like, oh man, now I can see it. The paint is starting to come off. But you won't have that. If you want to paint them, you won't have that problem unless you're storing them, because in storage, the figures kind of rub together from the weight of other boxes pressing down on it, and also from being tossed around when you're moving things. All right, guys, that's it for Iggy. I want to thank you for enlisting in the Iggy Army. And I guess in this case, it's all for the Union. So, to all of you in the Iggy Army, I want to thank you for your enlistment. And I'm going to sign off. Bye.